Despite starting 3-2, the Clippers are now 5-12. They have absolutely fallen off of a cliff after the first 5 games of this season and just have not looked good in almost any performance that they have had so far this season. One of their only wins recently was against the Hornets, where James Harden had to have 55 points, where he made 10 3-pointers, and that was a franchise record, 55 points. That is the only way that this team has been able to get a win in what seems like a long time. The only other win that they've had since the start of the season, starting in those first 5 games, was against the Mavericks as well, a 6-point win. But since then, everywhere you look is just littered with losses, going 2-10 over that time period, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. When we look at this roster, there are some decent pieces, but this team just doesn't look like there's a sense of direction going forward, which could be very bad for this team. When we look at this, I mean, obviously James Harden has played fantastic. When you look at almost every stat, he leads this team with almost 28 points per game, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. He's still putting in buckets, maybe not to the level of him in his prime, but at 36 years old, he is still playing very good basketball. Kawhi Leonard, can't say the same about him because he's really not playing that much basketball at all. At only 24 points per game, he's only played 7 games so far this season, and James Harden has played all but 1 game so far. That's the difference between these two guys. The moment that Harden was traded to the Clippers, he has been great for them and really has been the franchise guy for them since that trade. Kawhi, as we know, the past seems like 5 years now since he won that championship. Being on the Clippers, you don't know if he's going to play or not every single night. It's a question mark, and it's easier to bet on him not playing than it is for him to play and end up being in the lineup for any given night, which is a problem for this team considering besides those two guys, they really don't have anyone else getting buckets for this team. Besides them, Zubac at 17 points per game, John Collins, and Derrick Jones Jr., there's no one else even touching 10 points per game. And outside of Harden and Kawhi Leonard, there's really no one else that can get you consistent buckets every single night. Zubac at 17 points per game has been good. We know how good he was last season as well. He's played every game for them this season and has been fantastic. 17 points and 11.5 rebounds per game is definitely not something to bat an eye at 62% from the field, but he's not a volume scorer, right? You're not going to go expect Zubac to go out there and score 30 points every single night. He can get you a consistent 15 to 20, but he's not going to be able to get you 30 points every night. And when you miss Kawhi Leonard for half of the games in a season, someone's going to need to step up. And when your next best scorers are John Collins and Derrick Jones Jr., it just doesn't look that promising for this roster. They've had some decent play from some other guys off of the bench, but nothing really to write home about. I mean, Jordan Miller has been one of the better players for this team so far, a second-round pick for them in 2023, averaging 9.3 points per game and shooting 50% from the field in the 3 games he's played so far, and only in 16 minutes per game, he's averaging that 9 points per game. So he's been good, but you can't rely on him every single night either. And it just seems like every night there's not really anyone that you can point at and say, wow, this player has played fantastic, or this player is going to play very good tonight. One of the guys that obviously they got in free agency, and Chris Paul, who just said that he's going to retire at the end of this season, I don't blame him. Playing 15 minutes per game, and for a guy that is one of the best passers and scoring guys at the point guard position that we've seen, at 2.5 points and just under 4 assists per game, 15 minutes, he's not really doing much of anything. But what did you expect at this point as well? I mean, for a guy that old. And then you look at other guys on this team. I mean, Bradley Beal is just an absolute insanity case for the past few seasons, as we know. The Suns giving him as much money as they did for him to produce absolutely nothing, and then begging a team to get him, and also, missing the whole season. The rest of the season, he's going to be out. So you don't even get anything from that either. Still having to pay him as well. And it's not like they just have this money lying around when you have a guy in Bradley Beal, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard all getting a lot of money. So the franchise really has to press the reset button and press the red button and blow this all up soon. And soon, I mean pretty much now. One of the only pieces that I think they would be able to trade, which have been in trade talks, has been John Collins. You know, there's been some reports about teams interested in getting him. John Collins is making $26.5 million per year as well. So it's not like this team has money at all to spend. But if you're going to rebuild and have a bad year this year, get a good draft pick, then you need to get rid of a guy in John Collins. But it seems like one of the options that they're trying to look at is DeMar DeRozan, which a lot of people are calling this the unction this year, with a lot of old players on this roster who maybe or definitely past their prime in some cases. That's going to make this team even older. There are some decent young pieces, obviously, this year with their first round pick, the 30th pick overall. And Niederhauser hasn't really done too much for them so far. I mean, they're not really letting him go out on the court and play much. He's averaging a few minutes per game in the fourth quarter when they're already losing by 20. So it's not like he's given them much to look forward to as well. And it's not like they have a lot of young players when you look at this roster. Like I said before, you got Harden, Kawhi, Zubac, John Collins, Derrick Jones Jr., Bradley Beal, Chris Dunn, Brook Lopez, Cam Christie, Nick Batum. I mean, Chris Paul, these are all guys that we all know have been in the league for multiple years. So it's not like you're a Charlotte Hornets team where you're really bad, but you have some good young players who can continue to build together. This roster really has no direction for the next 5 years, it seems like. Unless they start really getting rid of pieces, I really don't think this team can progress forward until they get rid of Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion. And that may be a hard thing for this team because they've committed so much to him being a very good player. And obviously we know he's one of the best players of all time. But I really don't think that they can progress forward with a guy who's only going to play half the games in a season and they're paying him that much money. James Harden has been fantastic for them so far. I really don't think that he's a problem for this team at all. And we know how good Zubac has been last year, this year, the past few years. He's been very consistent. If you're going to get rid of John Collins to get some money, maybe try to get a younger player than a DeMar DeRozan at this point. Either way, his contract will be expired, so maybe you bring in some younger guys to build around this team. But this Clippers team really has no path or plan looking forward in the next few years. I don't really see how this team can just start competing because they're playing terrible right now, and at 5-12, they don't really have any hopes of the playoffs the way that they have also been playing. You would think with this roster, with that big three of guys that they have, that maybe they could string something together, but even the bench, who also gets a good amount of minutes considering Kawhi's out for half of the games in a season. So far this year, he's been out over half of them, and Bradley Beal's out for the season. You would expect to get some good play from some other guys, but there really hasn't been anything to write home about, in my opinion, so far. Their only good play, I would say, so far from their younger players, which there aren't very many, like I said before, in Jordan Miller, second-round pick in 2023, and Kobe Sanders in this year's draft, a second-round pick who's averaging 7 points a game, getting you 40% from the field every night. So it's not like there's much to write home about with these young players because they're not really getting too much of an opportunity as well. But this Clippers roster just looks really bad. Let me know down below what you guys would do with this team. Would you get rid of Kawhi Leonard? Would you finally pull the plug? Or do you think that they should try to stick it out and maybe get lucky in the lottery this year and get a guy that can turn this franchise back around? Let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.